The idea was, this chap got hit on the head. He's lost his history. He's lost his memory. And along with that, he's lost his identity. And that is basically what the history of science, if you like, is about, or any history is about. If you've lost your history, you no longer have your identity has changed. Mind control is very, very important. The main idea is that history of science has been very important for colonization, because a false history of science was used to establish the colonial system of education. And that colonial system of education keeps us colonized even after physical occupation is over. According to mainstream history, everything developed in the West. First, everything was done by the Greeks, and then in post-Renaissance Europe. And everyone else is erased. The Arabs are erased, the Egyptians are erased, and the rest of the world is erased. And this history is completely false, because if you ask for the evidence, how does one know that someone like Euclid existed? There is no evidence. So let's take some concrete examples. Let's look at the case of astronomy. I already considered Euclid. So astronomy, the story goes that the first thing was done by a Greek called Ptolemy, who wrote the Almagest. And then this book was used without change for 1400 years. And then suddenly there was a revolution called the Copernican Revolution. Copernicus came along, he said that it's, astronomy is heliocentric, not geocentric. And since then we are following that. So you see, the Greeks did it, everybody else knew nothing about astronomy, and then Copernicus did it after the Renaissance. And this is a well-known story. It's completely false. The name Almagest, Al-Majesti, the Arabic name. Of course, you can give a Greek name to it, syntaxis and so on. But the text was, if you read the text, right at the beginning, there's a reference, the first line of the text, if you want to have the text with me, if you want to see, mentions Cyrus, which is a Persian name. It starts off, the very first line of the text starts off by mentioning Cyrus. Oh Cyrus, we are now going to do this and so on. So the text was written in Persia, translated from Persian to Arabic and from Arabic to Greek. That is the story, that is still the story. You look at Wikipedia today. For any piece of history, look at Wikipedia, you Google, everybody does that. They will tell you the same story. It was done by Greeks, then in the Renaissance. Everybody else did nothing. Well, Arabs kept it in safekeeping. They added nothing to it. So think of the number of centuries involved. It is like saying that something came from Toledo, till today nothing is known. It is not enough, for example, the British vacated India, but the British systems continued because of their system of education. Their constitution continued. And that is very bad, because the mental occupation continued even though the physical occupation was over. So what I am suggesting is that you give that up, examine everything and ask why you should do it, and do it in a different way. Because you are not doing something because they do it like that in the West. You are doing something because it has some value for you. You have examined, you have thought about it. And I think all those university teachers who cannot explain why they are doing something, I think they should all be sacked. Because they should know, if the student asks, why are you doing mathematics like this? It's not enough to say, oh, somebody prescribed the syllabus. And we don't know why it is done, we are just doing it, we are just cogs in the wheel. I think that's not education. And that, I think, is the relevant message for campus in camps.